Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's Lee and Alison with the Law School and Bar Exam Toolboxes, and we are back with another update on the California Bar Exam fiasco. Should we just relabel like that whole series, the California Bar Exam fiasco? I'm kind of thinking maybe.
I know. Dumpster fire, fiasco, so many words. Maybe a whole string of words, actually.
I was trying to be polite about it, but
I think we go John Oliver style. We just go for the big labels, you know?
yeah. So since the last time we spoke, by the way, this is Wednesday, April 30th in the afternoon, because I feel like we actually probably need to say that at this point in California. So one thing that is interesting, we are currently awaiting bar results on Friday. However, there's a decent chance now it looks like that might not happen.
Oh my gosh. When you just told me that, because I had not read that article yet, it like gives me like heart palpitations for all of our students, because anyone who's passed the California bar knows what the countdown to results is.
Yeah, like you know what day that's happening. To the minute.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
To the minute.
To the minute. Like I think it's at 5 p.m.?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Yeah. So like you know. So yeah, now literally like seconds before this is supposed to be happening. I mean, not seconds. I'm exaggerating. 2 days.
Hours.
2 days and less than 4 hours. So say 51-ish hours. It might not be happening.
Well, Alison, why would that ever be?
Well, Lee, because the state bar on, I believe, Tuesday filed a 65-page petition with the California State Supreme Court, who has to approve all of the changes. As part of that, they asked, as we knew they were going to be asking, because they talked about this last week, they asked the raw passing score be set at a 534, which is lower than the 560 that, typically would be recommended, I guess. So pretty substantial. I think they said it was 2 standard deviations lower. It would just apply across the board, regardless of what kind of problems people had. But yeah, they haven't gotten this approved yet. So they can't release results because they can't scale anything because they don't have a raw score.
That's just amazing. Like the incompetence just continues to amaze me. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this isn't the first time they've changed scores. During COVID, They did a score adjustment, but I believe we still got results as promised.
Right, because they weren't asking for that score adjustment like a week ahead of time. They got the approvals, presumably. I mean, also, to be fair, that bar was delayed. So, they had months and months to kind of figure it out. But yeah, they sorted that out in advance. So yeah, when I saw that they were going to be having this meeting and they, were like, oh, we're going to have to submit this to the Supreme Court, but it's not going to be a problem. We're going to submit it on Monday or whatever it was. It turned out, I think it was Tuesday, but I'm like, how is that going to work?
Oh my gosh.
How are we going to have a decision? I mean, maybe they'll get it done. I don't know. It's possible. It's totally possible. People could get their results on Friday. But there's definitely a decent likelihood of that not happening, which is crazy. Yeah. And to anyone awaiting results,
it's unconscionable.
We're so sorry. Like, I know this is not my fault, but I still am sorry about it.
It is just unconscionable. There's nothing else to say. Like, this is a governing body that is supposed to allow lawyers to enter the practice of law. We all have to follow all of these rules that they set out for us. We pay huge amounts of money for these licenses, huge amounts of money to sit for these exams. The fact that the bar cannot manage a bar exam is just blows my mind.
It is really shocking. Another interesting tidbit.
Oh, it gets better, guys. It gets better. If you have not been reading Reddit or the news, hold your horses. It gets better.
Yeah. So, the Supreme Court, as we have mentioned before, said you have to do the next exam in person. And one of the open questions at that point has always been, does that mean they're using the MBE questions? I don't know. Well, maybe they're going to. This is also in this petition. Apparently, I think the NCBE, let me double check this. We'll link to some articles. I think the NCBE, said they have to make a decision before June 10th if they want to use the MBE. So
it's just let's just pause here for a second. There has been a lot of drama about these MBE style questions that California has used. Since the last time we spoke, we've now learned that like AI was writing some of them. Well, isn't that fun and exciting to read about? I mean,
well, and not just the AI is writing them, which is probably bad enough. There's let me see. I think this was in a New York Times article I just pulled up. That I actually might just read this because it's so astonishing. The State Bar said the Committee of Bar Examiners, the body that oversees the exams, had not been previously made aware of the use of AI. But what I really love about this, I'm just going to read this whole paragraph.
Yeah.
In a petition filed to the Supreme Court on Tuesday, the State Bar said ACS Ventures, which is apparently who's writing all these things, fed prompts. Oh, no, I think actually that's their psychometrician, which
that's
is
their
like
psychometrician.
That's a whole other issue.
It's a whole other issue. But they, I think the psychometrician was helping write the exam questions.
Yeah. So there are like 25. So Kaplan wrote some. They pulled some from the baby bar, which people might have already seen if they took the baby bar detail. And this ACS Ventures, which is the psychometrician, apparently wrote some of those. But okay, I'm going to continue reading. Sorry, I got distracted. The State Bar said ACS Ventures fed prompts to an AI chatbot to produce multiple choice questions. Okay. ACS Ventures did not check the questions generated by OpenAI's ChatGPT for accuracy, but those and other questions were sent to a State Bar panel for review.
So let's just pause for a second. You and I love some good AI.
Sure.
We are good friends with Claude. We like it. We use it to make our lives more efficient. And we have tested the abilities of AI to do things like write hypos, write multiple choice questions. We have tested it. And every time that we have tested it, it has not passed our tests. In fact, our tutors will review their stuff and talk about the issues that come out of it. AI will confidently produce wrong law, wrong answer choices, wrong explanations. We know that AI is not ready to do this. And I believe Claude is a bit more sophisticated than ChatGPT in the legal realm.
Exactly. If you're going to do it, you probably should talk to Claude. But even Claude, I think there's even a very early YouTube of me going through and asking Claude to do stuff in this realm. And one of the interesting things it did was it didn't understand that it mattered whether someone was like a plaintiff or a defendant. It just sort of applied this law that superficially made sense. And then you think it was sort of like, something feels off about that. And it was some sort of proof type thing. And it really mattered who had to prove what. And it just did not understand that at all. Because it wasn't, that's logic. That's not language.
Right. So we have run these unofficial tests in our bar prep business and our law school tutoring business, but the bar hasn't talked to anyone about really what AI can do. And the fact that no one proved them or acknowledged that they were AI generated. And why is the psychometrician writing questions?
Great
that they're
question.
Supposed to decide whether or not are valid to be graded. The whole thing is just obscene.
I mean, it seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest.
Just a smidge.
A little bit. Tiny
I don't know.
detail.
I mean, we did both pass the moral character and the MPRE. But AI didn't do that. So
yeah. No, I mean, I feel like the fact that they used OpenAI instead of using Claude, which I'm pretty sure has been trained on the law, was also just a big red flag that no one has any clue what they're doing, because that's the most obvious thing.
It's wild. I mean, we already knew that there were a lot of concerns about these questions. We've talked about it in past episodes. Mary Basic out of Irvine. It's Irvine, right? Mary Basic's at Irvine?
I believe so. Yes.
But she's been, speaking and writing and talking about this along with one of the professors from from USF Law. But the reality is, we already knew there were major problems with these questions. Gee, I mean, if we could get paid millions of dollars by just feeding in some questions into, OpenAI and giving them to the bar, we should have been writing the bar exam questions.
It wasn't even questions. It was a prompt. It was just, create some questions. yeah, the other thing, speaking of money, that I really love is, so, I mean, obviously the whole point of this was they're supposed to save money, according to this Reuters article that came out today. They're expecting to save as much as 3.8 million annually by eliminating the need to rent out large event spaces. Okay, that's already off the table for next time. However, the state bar now projects that addressing these problems, it's unclear if this isn't on top of having to rent the spaces, like extra problems. Anyway, is going to cost at least 2.3 million more than anticipated. Which who's going to pay? California lawyers and bar takers.
They just raised my bar dues.
I'm inactive. I get nothing. I get nothing for my bar dues. And I have to pay them every year, and they always go up.
Ugh. Yeah.
I actually really, there's a fantastic quote in one of these articles by someone who says if he fails, he's going to take, even if he's contemplating, even if it's offered for free, he contemplated taking it in another state with a quote, "I don't want to give them my bar dues as an attorney for the rest of my life," which I totally get.
Oh my gosh. I would never consider calculating how many bar dues I've paid for my entire career.
No, it's a lot.
Terrifying.
If you don't know, it's a lot. Yeah, so, where we're at is we at this point don't know who's going to be writing the multiple choice questions. Apparently that could take as long as June 10th. I mean, I guess that's the drop dead date. I mean, just to be clear, June 10th is like, what, 6 weeks before the exam, if that?
If that.
So people are going to study literally not knowing what questions they could be taking?
Yep. Well, I mean, let's be honest. If the bar writes their own questions, we also won't know what law is going to be on them because because they keep changing the scope of the law without telling anybody, without notice.
Yeah, and I'll try to find an article I read, I think last week, where the bar was like, well, we didn't really change the scope. But I feel like Mary Basic and this other professor who's, sorry, I think her name is Karen, maybe. I forget her name. Sorry, you're also great. But they went through this in detail. I mean, it's like kind of, I feel like we're being gaslighted here to say like, oh no, we didn't actually change anything. They have a list. Like they went through it. Yeah. Did they change or not change? Because it seems like they changed.
Hey, you know what AI would be good for is taking that list and comparing it to the questions.
Fair point. The ones we have, I mean, they did actually for the ones they released, and something insane like 20% of them were on things that should not have been tested.
All right. So if you are waiting for results,
oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Like, I don't know. It's going to be a great story one day.
Someday. So I would plan something on Friday evening, something that could go either way. When I got my bar results, I remember that my mom ordered a cake.
Did it have anything on it?
No.
Was it like, congrats?
Like, I know, because it was just like, whichever way this goes, we're eating cake. Which I know was actually a pretty great way to approach it. Because really, either way, you would want cake.
Right. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Something like that. So I would plan some, maybe a cake, maybe movie night, maybe something. I would probably plan something in case 6 o'clock does not mean that you get any answers.
Well, and I mean, I wonder if they're going to tell people before then, or we're just...
I mean, they have to, right?
I don't know. What are they going to tell them? What if, like, the state court comes back on Friday at 5:50 and is like, all right, cool, we're a go.
But it's not, like, loaded into the system. I mean, there's got to be some sort of, like, system release, upload.
I would assume by the end of the day tomorrow, at the latest, they would have to know whether they're going to release results on Friday or not.
I mean, one would hope so. So I think you definitely need to do something nice for yourself on Friday evening, maybe also on Saturday, because you just don't know what's coming down the pipe.
You could just be like waiting and wait. This is horrible.
It's horrible.
It's really horrible.
Now, if you are studying, which we know a lot of people are studying for July now because a ton of people dropped out of the February bar, which I totally understand. Everyone's trying to prepare. I think this MBE question, I mean, to be honest, I still think to just study off the, regular MBE is still your best option. I
agree.
think that Supreme Court's going to tell them they have to use the NCBE questions.
I agree, 100%. I will be, frankly, kind of shocked if they let them try to do this again. Because at this point, we're not even any further out than the first time they started this fiasco. It's not like they have extra time. I'm sure no one's really learned anything. Like, I mean, they're not capable of developing questions.
Also, they're not like writing a new set of questions right now.
No,
like, unless they're asking open AI and ChatGPT.
No, I mean, they have to, though. They have to come up with 200 new questions, and they've already used up the ones from the baby bar. I mean, my God, this is just like literally unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. All right. So,
but hey,
something.
I'll just say one other thing. At least they've ordered an independent investigation into these issues. So I'm sure that'll be
better.
Yeah, I'm sure in like 6 months we'll get a very interesting report.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I think the other big question that people have to start, contemplating is if you don't pass, if they push through the score adjustment and you don't pass, how do you regroup? Other jurisdictions have all gotten their results around the country. So I know, you and I are already talking to a lot of frustrated and sad people. And that is a really hard thing to do, is to come back. And I think from coming back after failing this test specifically is going to be really emotionally challenging. So I really think that, although you're going to want to start studying again fairly quickly because this next cycle is going to happen fast.
If you want to take the next exam, which I think is a very valid question to ask yourself. I mean, obviously some people really need to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't need to take it, there is probably a pretty good argument for waiting.
I could see that.
Well, and I think they said they're also extending the free retake option into like next year. So people should definitely just look at the options because it does not seem like this chaos is going to be ending anytime soon.
No. But I do think you have to say, like, okay, I'm going to take some time to grieve and like feel my frustration. But then if you want to sit for July, you're just going to have to start studying. Right. Knowing that there are going to be open questions, knowing that there could still be chaos. It shouldn't be that way, but the best use of your time is going to be to start moving in that direction. I think where this is going to be really challenging is if this rollout of these results is a cluster, which it looks like it's going to be, and they don't quickly decide what the test is going to look like, which it also looks like is going to happen. You can really just get so distracted by the Reddit posts and the news articles and all of this stuff because now it's out there. It's in like every newspaper. Right. It's in the New York Times. It was in our San Francisco newspaper. It's everywhere. You could really just make it so you cannot focus. And so I think no matter what, if you want to study again, it's time to turn off the phone and really, really practice the Pomodoro method and go offline and methodically start chipping away at this problem without getting super distracted and emotional, if it's possible.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to be really hard for people to figure out what happened and what they need to do differently. Yeah. And to some extent, I mean, I think there's some people who legitimately are going to be able to say, yeah, the rollout of this exam and the way it went probably made me fail. Yeah. I also, at the same time, don't think that people can use that across the board as an excuse. And we don't even know what data we're going to get.
The score report's going to look the same. I mean,
so I just think it's going to be really hard to kind of parse out like, okay, these things happened on test day versus, I wasn't fully prepared for this essay or whatever it is. So I think it's going to be even harder than normal for people to sort of figure out like, okay, what happened here if I really sit with this? And what do you need to do differently?
Yeah, that's very true. Well, you can send us whatever score report they send you and we'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, we'll be curious to see them.
Yeah, you can just go to barexamtoolbox.com and you can schedule a call with us, reach out on our contact form, and we're happy to talk to you about it. Because this is going to be tricky. You're right. We don't know what these score reports are going to look like. We don't know, how much information you're going to get about like if you pass, how many, I doubt they're going to say how many essays even got graded. I don't know. You're right. They might not give us anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know that they'll do like the MBE subject breakdown like they usually do because, I mean, if people weren't even turning in like large portions of the question, like how would you possibly do that? So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but I would be surprised if you got kind of the standard set of information across the board.
Yeah. Well, when they do send out results and we do see what everybody gets, maybe we should come back and talk about what you do with that information.
100%. Yeah, once we see some reports, we'll tell you how to make sense of them to the best of our abilities.
To the best of our abilities. But if you are getting ready to study again, or you are studying now, just do not let this derail your prep, because I think you could really lose like a whole week in this chaos. Just keep up the good work, keep working towards your goals, and it will all just come as it may. What else to say?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just, it's really beyond.
It is. It is. Well, hang in there, everybody. We'll be back soon with our next update.
I'm sure we will be. No idea what we'll be talking about, because literally every time I do a search before we have this conversation, I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
I know.
And I send it to you and you're like, oh, really?
What? It's like, did that happen while I was playing tennis this morning? Like, what happened?
Yeah. That's kind of where we're at. So anyway, we'll pop this on up and we'll be back soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, or at least found it interesting, I don't know if you can enjoy talking about this, feel free to give us a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe so you get our future updates.